Hey guys, I hope you all are doing well. Please get comfortable because I have some stories for you. And remember, if you have any stories of your own, don't forget to leave them down in the comments. And if you like these type of videos, don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe, would really help us. With that aside, let's get into it. My name's Ethan, and this happened when I was 16. I used to sneak out all the time with my best friend, Liam. We weren't troublemakers or anything. We just liked walking around the neighborhood at night, exploring abandoned buildings, smoking a little, playing pranks on each other. It was freedom. No parents, no rules, no one watching us. We had this one spot we loved, the old Harrison house, right at the end of Maple Street. Everyone in the neighborhood said it was haunted. Broken windows, creaky porch, doors that never stayed shut. But we didn't care. For us, it was the perfect place to hang out without anyone bothering us. One Friday night, Liam and I decided to go there again. I waited outside by the fence while he went around to check the back entrance. It was dark, the streetlights flickering as usual, and I remember thinking, why am I always the one waiting? I could hear every little sound, branches scraping against the walls, the wind rattling the loose boards. Minutes passed. 10, 20. I called his name. Liam, you coming? Nothing. Not a whisper, not a rustle. My stomach started twisting. I ran around the house, shining my phone flashlight into every broken window. Still nothing. I figured he was messing with me. Liam loved messing with me, but then I heard it. The sound of breathing behind the house. Not mine. Slow, heavy, deliberate. I ran toward it, calling his name again. But nothing, just shadows moving between the trees. I didn't see anyone, but the hair on my arms stood up. I didn't even wait to find him. I climbed back over the fence and ran home faster than I've ever run in my life. The next morning, Liam was gone. His mom was calling neighbors. The police asked questions, but no one had seen him. No one had heard from him. Not a text, not a social media post, nothing. For a whole week, he just vanished. When Liam finally came back, I almost didn't recognize him. His hair was a mess, and his eyes, I don't know how to explain it. They weren't Liam's eyes anymore. They darted everywhere, twitching like he was expecting someone or something to grab him at any second. I tried to joke with him. Yo, you finally decided to show up. Did you get lost? He didn't smile. He didn't laugh. He just muttered, "Don't ask." After that, hanging out with him felt wrong. He avoided the Harrison house completely. He refused to walk down the alleys we used to sneak through. Sometimes, late at night, I'd hear him scream in his sleep, thrashing, whispering things like he's watching or "Don't let him see you." I tried asking him about it, but he'd just shake his head and go silent. A few nights later, I sneaked out alone. I needed fresh air. I was walking past Maple Street, the streetlights flickering the way they always did, when I heard a voice. Ethan. It was Liam's voice, soft, panicked, terrified, coming from the alley ahead. My heart stopped. I froze. "Liam?" I called out. No answer, just that same faint whisper of my name, drifting closer. I ran faster than I ever have in my life, turning over my shoulder every few steps. When I got back to my house, I barely made it through the window before collapsing on my bed, shaking. The next day, I confronted him. I couldn't hold it in. "What happened? Where were you? Who was there?" He looked at me, eyes wide, almost pleading, and whispered, "They don't like it when I talk about it. If you ever hear me calling, don't go, don't look back, ever." I didn't understand then. I still don't fully understand, but I never sneaked out again after that. Not for me, not for anyone. Now, I'm 24. I drive past that neighborhood sometimes, late at night, and I swear I see someone standing near the Harrison house, watching, waiting. And sometimes, when it's quiet, I hear it, a faint whisper, my name, and I remember that night, that week, Liam. And I realized something I didn't back then. Whatever was out there that night, It didn't just let him go. It stayed, watching, waiting, and maybe it's still waiting. My name's Nathan. I was 16 when this happened. My grandma, Margaret, lived alone in a small, creaky house at the edge of town. She had always been a good cook, but something changed after my grandpa, Arthur, passed away. Before he died, her food was normal, comforting, sure, but normal. After he passed, it was different. Every dish she made tasted incredible, especially the ones with meat. Even the simplest things, like her chicken pot pie or a beef stew, were richer, more flavorful than anything I'd ever had. I first noticed it when I stayed with her that summer while my parents were out of town. It had been about a week since Grandpa Arthur's funeral. I remember walking into the kitchen and smelling something so intense, so inviting, that it made my stomach growl before I even saw what she'd made. "Nathan," she called, flour dusting her hands. "Come try this." She handed me a slice of her roast beef pie. I took a bite, and it was perfect. Tender beef, rich gravy, buttery pastry that melted in my mouth. I couldn't stop eating. "Grandma, this is incredible," I said, swallowing another piece. She smiled, eyes glossy. "I always liked making things just right. Your grandpa used to say food was love you could taste." I didn't think much of it at the time, but the next day, I noticed a pattern. The meals that had meat in them, her lamb stew, her roast chicken, her pork tenderloin, were unbelievable. But things without meat, a salad, her plain bread, even her mashed potatoes were just fine, tasty, but nothing special. One afternoon, while she was preparing a pork roast, I asked, "Grandma, why is it that every dish with meat tastes perfect?" She chuckled softly. "Oh, darling, that's just the way it is now. I have time to focus. Your grandpa used to hover over me in the kitchen, always telling me what to do. I can finally do it my way." I shrugged, but something about the way she said it made me uneasy. That night, I stayed up doing homework in the kitchen. She was chopping vegetables for the stew, humming softly. I noticed a faint metallic smell in the air, coppery, warm, almost sweet. I leaned closer, trying to figure out what it was, and caught a glimpse of her cutting board, dark stains in the grooves. I froze. "Nathan, you hungry?" she asked, not looking up. Yeah," I said, voice small. She smiled, too wide, and served the stew. Beef chunks, carrots, and potatoes swimming in a thick, savory broth. I ate. Of course I ate. The taste was perfect, richer than anything I'd ever had. But with each bite, there was that faint iron tang in my mouth, metallic, lingering. I tried to tell myself I was imagining it. Over the next week, the pattern became impossible to ignore. The meat dishes, roast chicken, lamb chops, her famous beef and mushroom pie were unbelievable. But the vegetables, the bread, the fruit normal, dull, forgettable. I began noticing other things, too. Sometimes, when I walked into the kitchen, I would smell that metallic copper tang even before she started cooking. Sometimes, in the middle of a meal, I'd notice shadows moving across the corner of my eye, but when I turned, nothing was there. The cutting board always looked darker than it should. The knife gleamed too brightly under the light. One night, I woke up to the smell of roasting pork. The house was silent, streets quiet. I went downstairs. Grandma Margaret was at the stove, stirring a pot of beef stew. She looked up at me and smiled that same wide smile, eyes darker than I remembered. "You like it?" she asked. "Yes, it's amazing," I stammered. She nodded slowly, almost knowingly. "I can't make it any other way now. Not since Arthur passed. He helped me, from here." She tapped her chest. "Grandma, what do you mean?" She just chuckled and kept stirring. "That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed, stomach twisting, thinking about the smell, the taste, the dark stains I'd glimpsed on the cutting board. By the end of the week, I couldn't deny it. Something was wrong, but I still ate her food. I couldn't help it. Every meal with meat called me back the chicken, the pork, the beef, rich, tender, perfect. Years later, I still think about that summer. Grandma Margaret is gone now, but every time I cook meat, I remember that taste, the richness, the depth, and that faint, iron-like tang that made it perfect. I never told anyone, because even now, when I remember it, part of me wonders, maybe some recipes are just too good to be normal.